Hello, people, my name is Amy. I'm now a single woman with no one in this world. However, once I had a husband and a family of in-laws. Unfortunately for me, they turned out to be not what I imagined. You see, God not only took away my parents from me, but also didn't give me peace in marriage. However, I didn't go down without a fight. Here is my story. I'm actually a pretty well-off woman. People who don't know me might think I'm very privileged. Maybe I am privileged in some ways. However, my wealth comes from a tragic incident. You see, my parents were actually very rich. My mother died when I was young, and I was mostly raised by my dad. Unfortunately, he too passed away when I was just 20. However, he did leave me behind a beautiful house and a huge trust fund. If someone asked me about my life, I would say it is hell. Without either of my parents, I'm extremely lonely and always wanted to find people who would love me. I missed my parents and would give my life to bring them back. I knew that it was all wishful thinking. Maybe that's why I was so desperate to find love. I did find love in Johnny, who later became my husband. I always thought he loved and cared for me. He was quick to show affection and didn't give off any red flags, so being with him was super easy. He filled a big hole in my chest and I loved him with all my heart. That's why I agreed to marry him when he proposed to me. He always said, "You know, Amy, you are a wonderful person. I'm so glad to finally call you family. I know you have been orphaned, but trust me, my family will become yours soon." Thank you for being with me, Johnny. You mean a lot to me, you know. I'm so excited to finally be a part of your family. I was naive and desperate, so I didn't understand that we don't always get what we want. When I finally met his family, they turned out to be snobby people. They openly insulted me for being rich and having everything handed out on a golden platter. However, their bad impression of me didn't stop them from asking me for financial help. I was pretty taken aback by their behaviour, but stayed for Johnny's sake. However, God did send me a hint about just how clueless I was about Johnny. On the day of my engagement party, I overheard a conversation between Johnny and his family. They said, "Johnny, are you really sure about marrying this girl?" "Yes, we are worried about you. This girl is loaded, but I don't think we like her. I'm surprised you chose her." "Mom, Dad, you don't have to worry about me. Everything will be fine." "Will you abandon us after getting married? Please tell me you won't fall into her trap and forget about your responsibilities." "Are you insane? I'm marrying her so that you guys can live happily. Did you see how much money she has? We will have a good life if I marry her." "I knew it. You were thinking about us all along. Please tell me you will leave her once we get her riches. I can't stand that girl. She thinks she's too good for us." "Don't worry. I have my own plans. Just go along with it and let us enjoy. We will think about everything later." Even after hearing the conversation, I went ahead with the wedding. I never even confronted Johnny. I was so in love with him that I kept telling myself it was a misunderstanding. However, deep down, I felt uncomfortable with what I heard. Johnny had always been sweet to me and even stepped up for me when his parents were being rude, so I chose to delete the conversation from my head. However, after getting married, things fell apart pretty quickly. During the first year, Johnny was the epitome of being a perfect husband. He worked hard and I took care of him. It was only about a year later that he started to change. Johnny kept pushing me to let his family stay in our home. He said, "My family needs to be here, Amy. They are not rich like you. The rent is becoming too much for them. It would be best if they move here." "Johnny, I understand that you want to help your family, but they are very rude towards me. I won't feel comfortable around them. Besides, neither of your family members work. We can't afford to support them long term." "Don't be ridiculous. They will figure something out. This is my house too, and I get to say who stays here." "Johnny, this house is mine, and I won't allow them here. I deserve to live in peace." We had a massive argument on this topic. We actually fought for hours and never reached a compromise. Johnny was adamant that his parents should live here. He said, "I can't believe how cruel you are to my family. This is exactly why the universe has orphaned you. My family took you in as their own, and this is how you behave?" "Johnny, how can you say something like that? You know I always wanted to be a part of your family. What can I do if they don't accept me?" "Why will they accept you, Amy? Just look at your behaviour. You are a selfish and cruel person. I should never have married you. If you really want their love, you need to allow them to live here." "You are seriously insulting me to accommodate your family? I'm your wife, Johnny. How can you be so mean?" "You need to change your attitude towards me and my family, Amy. They will always come first to me. Today you just showed me how little I mean to you." The next day, after our argument, I was starting to feel a little bad. I reflected on my marriage, and later realised that Johnny was actually taking advantage of me. I remembered overhearing the conversation between him and his family on our engagement day. Slowly, I was starting to realise that all of this was planned. My mind was spinning, and I finally understood the reality of my marriage. Any doubts of me overthrowing the situation left when Johnny came back from work and asked to talk. He actually sat me down and started to say, "Look, Amy, it is clear that you won't respect me or let me consider this my house. So there is only one way to solve this situation. Sign over the house to me. I'm the man of this household, and this property needs to be in my name only." "Are you serious right now? You want me to give you my house?" "Yes. Now that we are married, this house needs to be in my name. If you don't trust or respect me this much, I have no reason to be with you. I will file for divorce." "Really? Will you leave me for this issue?" "Yes, I will. I will talk to a lawyer tomorrow and start divorce proceedings. There is only one way to stop me, and you know it." "Fine. If that is what makes you happy, I'll do it. I'll sign over the house to you. Will that convince you to stay with me?" "Yes, that is all I want. Just sign over this house to me. I deserve it." "Okay then. It will be done. I'll talk to my lawyer today." I had made my decision to do something. Actually, I have been sure of my decision for a while now. So I contacted my lawyer and gave him some instructions. He told me that the papers will be ready soon. I also informed Johnny that I had started the process. He was elated and thanked me repeatedly. Suddenly, he started to pamper me with gifts and treats every day. However, I could see that he was getting impatient as the days passed. One day he just stomped over to me and said, "How long do you need to transfer the house to me? I've waited long enough. Are you going to break your promise? You know there will be consequences." "Don't be mad at me. I have everything ready, Johnny. But there are some legal formalities that are taking time. You will have your rightful gift soon." "Well, you need to do something. This is taking way too long. You know I get impatient when things are delayed." "You will need to sign some papers. You know the usual things about confirming that the house is now yours. This will help speed up the process." "Fine, give me the papers. I'll sign them right now." Johnny thought he was signing the papers to receive my house. However, he didn't know that I had swapped the papers secretly. Johnny was actually signing a paper that would cost him a lot in the future. I was smiling inside while staying serious on the outside. Once the papers were signed, Johnny said, "Here, I have signed the papers you wanted. I consent for you to put my name on the house deed. Are we done?" "Yes, darling. We are done. Congratulations, dear husband. I hope this document changes your life forever." "So, will you sign the house papers now?" "I already have, Johnny. You have nothing to worry about. The house has its rightful owner now." "Finally, this house has become mine. I waited so long to have this in my name. I will bring my parents here and even my sister. We will finally be a big, happy family." I simply heard his excited rants and dreams about filling the house with his worthless family. Things were getting really amusing for me. I let him continue dreaming while I went and started to slowly pack his bags. I had a feeling he would need them fairly soon, so little by little, I started to move his things into bags. He was so obsessed with the house that he never noticed. After the documents were signed, Johnny began to get worse. He was downright misbehaving with me at all times. He actively berated me and insulted me every chance he got. Suddenly, nothing I did was appealing to him. Johnny kept telling me how he could have gotten a better girl. He was also constantly in touch with his parents, who were directing him on how to redecorate the house. About 2 months passed, and it was almost time for his family to move in. He never outright asked my permission. Just one day before they were to arrive, Johnny said, "My parents and sister will be here tomorrow. You better have everything ready for them. I won't tolerate you slacking off this time." "Why the hell are they coming? We didn't invite them." "They don't need an invitation anymore. My family will be moving in permanently. They're bringing all their stuff." "Excuse me? In what world did you think I would approve of this? We have talked about this before, Johnny. I don't want your family living with us." "This is my house now, and they have every right to be here. You are no one. I don't need your permission." "I'm not your servant, Johnny. You cannot expect me to cater to your family for nothing. You should be grateful I even take care of you." I was raging mad at Johnny. I always knew he would bring his evil family to this house the first chance he gets. However, his nonchalant and disrespectful attitude towards me pushed me to the edge. My tone had a bite to it, and my husband got mad. He snapped and said, "Listen here carefully, Amy. I've had enough of your shit. A wife needs to take care of her man and not talk back like this. I am done with you. I am divorcing you as soon as possible." "Johnny, Are you freaking kidding me right now? You would divorce me and choose your family instead? Of course I will. I went through the trouble of marrying you because of them. I knew they needed a house of their own, but I couldn't afford one, so I married you and made you sign over this house. So, this was your plan all along, right? My feelings and emotion never were a priority to you. I don't care about your feelings, Amy. I never even loved you. Now that I have achieved my goal, it's time for you to leave my house. It's over. Hearing him say those words should have filled me with shock and sadness. However, I didn't feel any of those things. Instead, I actually burst out in laughter. It was actually uncontrollable for a while. My reaction was genuine and I wasn't going mad. Johnny had a difficult time understanding why I was laughing. So I went to my room and brought back the papers he signed. Then I smiled and showed Johnny the papers and said, I think you have everything mixed up here, Johnny. It's actually time for you to leave my house. What are you saying? This house is no longer yours. You signed it over to me. You think you are a clever man, Johnny, but I can see that you are not very smart. In fact, teenagers are smarter than you nowadays. How dare you insult me, and what the hell do you mean? Well, you cannot threaten me with divorce, Johnny. You see, we got divorced 2 months ago. Just read the papers and see what you have signed. Johnny took a look at the content of the papers and his eyes got big. He was starting to shake and his forehead became sweaty. He kept staring at his signature and mine that I put in later. Johnny stared at it in disbelief. He said, What is the meaning of this? You said I needed to sign these papers for the house. You never even mentioned divorce. Do you think I'm stupid enough to sign over my house to you? For the longest time, I knew you would choose your family over me. However, I never thought you were capable of betraying me like this. But when you talked about owning my house, I started to see your true colours, so I switched the papers on that day. No, this is not true. This house is mine. You promised me that you will sign the papers. Well, this house was and is mine. And mind you, Johnny, you will never get your dirty hands on my property. We have a prenup, so you're not getting a cent from me. Amy, listen to me. My family will be here tomorrow. We can talk this out between us. Don't do something drastic. We are done, Johnny. We are already divorced and this house is still mine. Oh, I think it's time I tell you. Remember the papers I gave you last month and you thought it was the house deed? If you had just read them, you would have known they were eviction papers. Your notice period ends today. I want you out tomorrow. Amy, listen to me. This is wrong. You tricked me into your evil plans. How could you do this? I thought you loved me. I thought you loved me too, Johnny. Any love I had for you disappeared when I figured out your plan. You don't deserve my love, Johnny. This is insane. Please just hear me out. I was desperate for a house. I don't have anywhere to go. That is not my problem, Johnny. Your bags are packed, by the way. Consider this my last act of charity for you. You will be sleeping in the guest room today. I simply said that and left to go to my room. I shut myself in the room while he begged to talk to me. When nothing worked, he retreated to the guest room. I was finally starting to fulfill my plan for revenge. The real fun happened the next day. Early in the morning, his family showed up on my doorstep and demanded to be let in. I came out and said, "You guys aren't welcome here. Please leave before I call the police." "Shut up, Amy. This house belongs to my son. You can't kick us out. Move aside because we are here to stay." "That's right, Dad. If there is anyone who needs to leave, it's you, Amy. You can't live here anymore. I know my brother will divorce you soon." Oh my God, don't make me laugh. I guess your precious brother and son didn't brief you on the situation. This house is still mine. "Don't say nonsense! You signed away this house and gave it to my son. We're not fools, Amy. I know my son would do the right thing and support us. He will divorce you and we will take over this house." "Well, for your information, I already divorced your worthless son. It happened 2 months ago. Also, I have evicted him and this is his last day on my property. By the way, I never signed over this house, so he has no claim over it." The trio started to bombard me with threats and demands. Just as they were beginning to be verbally aggressive, Johnny joined us as well. He said, "Amy, let's just work this out. Me and my family will become homeless if you kick us out. They ended their lease and have nowhere to go. You should have known better than to betray me. There is no reason to talk anymore. You can take them and leave. I'll give you 15 minutes before I call the police." The four of them started to exchange heated questions and answers. I wanted no part in it since I wasn't a part of the family anymore. I reiterated my warning about the police and left them outside. Within a few minutes, all four of them started to beg and plead with me. I knew they were in a bad situation and honestly felt happy. After begging for an hour, I told them it's time for me to call the police. That scared them enough to leave. Johnny called an Uber and left to go somewhere. I later learned through their texts that they were staying in a hotel. Johnny called and said,
Amy, please let us in the house. We are at a hotel. The prices are pretty high and we won't be able to afford it for long. None of us have enough money to find a rented house big enough for us. Please have some sympathy. None of you deserve any sympathy from me. You need to stop being on my phone. I can sue you for harassment. Amy, please. We are sorry. Just give us a chance. We are divorced, Johnny. I want nothing to do with you or your family. Everything is settled. I've taken my share of money from our joint savings. You can use the rest as you please. I hung up on him and blocked his number. It felt extremely satisfying to have the entire family begging for my help. Maybe there would be people who felt bad for them. I, on the other hand, was extremely happy with their miserable condition. Days passed and they found out a variety of ways to text me and threaten me. However, they quickly stopped when I threatened them with legal action. Finally, they understood that there was nothing they could do. I also told Johnny's friends what happened and they were supportive of me. They even cut off Johnny and refused to house him or his family. Last I heard, he was still begging people for help. It's been a few months since the incident. The divorce had been finalised and there was nothing he could do to stop it. I'm still at my house and slowly building my life back up. I've also restarted my hobbies that Johnny didn't like. In fact, I've started my own business and I'm working to make it big. I'm finally rid of my toxic in-laws and ex, and I'm living in peace.